With pleasure, I declare the meeting open and welcome everybody under difficult circumstances once again with social distancing and mask wearing, but I guess it's for the greater good. I call on any apologies.
We have an apology from Councillor Marilyn Dixon.
Councillor Dixon, would somebody like to move that we accept that apology? Councillor Gall and Councillor Smith. Put that motion. Those in favour say aye. Against, no. Carried. Can I have a move of the recommendation that the minutes of the previous meeting be taken as read and confirmed? Councillor Colton and Councillor Young. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no. Carried. There's no presentation. Call for declarations of interests, gifts received and conflicts of interest. Difficult one today with the budget, but I think that we've covered all this before, so I don't have any at this stage. We can go straight into it now. And the first item is Councillor Activity Report. It's there for notation. Would I get a, is everybody happy with that? Your record close enough? Thank you. It's a recommendation that the report be received. Can I have a mover? Councillor Egan, seconded Councillor Smith. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no. Carried. Next item is the monthly Executive Services Report. A hand over to Alex.
No, it's mine.
Oh, sorry, yours. Sorry.
But I'm happy to accept questions from anyone.
When are the tables going in over here?
Yeah, it's scheduled. I think they want to completely finish. I think they've probably finished the roofing, haven't they?
Yeah, the roofing's finished, yeah.
Okay, so I think the tables have been ordered. I'll follow up, find out.
Looks good.
It does. It was a bigger job than they anticipated to get the four, you know, because originally it just had
Yeah.
shade cloth. But yeah, they've done a good job.
Because it's used so much, that part.
Yes.
Even more so the last few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
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 You're talking about Cunningham Park?
Yes.
No, just across the road.
Yeah, right.
Ah,
Sorry,
okay,
that's right.
yeah. Cunningham Park, I noticed the barbecues are in. But at Cunningham Park, that old amenities block we pulled down.
Yes, it will be.
It
And
needs to be.
it's almost finished.
Yeah,
new
I saw
one.
that. Yeah.
It's looking great, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. The old one's pretty ordinary.
What about kitchen at the bowling club? You'll be getting gourmet.
Gourmet Chinese.
Gourmet Chinese.
They don't go in the same sentence, those two.
Isn't amazing?
I understand they're going to use Dave's beetroot relish there.
That'll bring them. That'll bring them in.
Looks good.
Any questions on this report? I've been through it. It's very informative.
This goes to show how busy everybody is again.
I'm still interested in this, you know, the contamination in the recycling's a nuisance, isn't it? It's I don't know.
I don't know how we ever
No.
control it.
And the, even though it says there was a glitch with the truck wash figures, they're still good figures
Yeah.
down there for the,
Well, the income tells you.
yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
the $1,700.
Yeah. Well, I often go past and see a truck on it, and
And that's without, obviously, some funds being noted into there because they said there was a
Glitch. Yeah.
problem.
yeah, and I think once the bypass gets operational, it'll be used even more. Yeah. And we'll wait for the next report, but that's getting close. Any?
The lawnmower we replaced. Who asked us for a lawnmower?
You got your thing on, your microphone's on or not?
Someone asked
We've
for
got,
No, that was,
That was out at Gravesend.
yeah, Gravesend one to lawnmower.
So is that Toro one any good to them or
Is
not?
it? It's already happened, hasn't it?
they didn't want one. They have been given
Oh,
one in the
they're
past.
wanting
and
to.
No, no,
Wasn't
no,
there
not
someone else?
Gravesend wanted one.
Yes, someone wanted
It
one.
was the gully you're talking about.
From some other organisation.
Gravesend. Gravesend.
Someone else now.
Ah,
I thought.
well, the gully had one, they didn't, they don't want it anymore.
Might have
They
been
don't
Gully.
sell theirs, yeah.
They're on-
I think this mower's already been gifted, hasn't it, Alex?
I have to.
Yeah.
Right. Is that right?
I think it has been.
I think it has.
Because we've got a list of.
I read in there it's
They're in
already-
chronological order. The requests we received.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
to
all
go-
right.
Yeah, I think
the
it's
next one
already
is,
been done.
who it is.
Yeah.
It could even be the race course at
I think it might have been
Warialda?
the wasn't aerodrome, was it?
Oh, they got one before.
They've already got it.
Anyway, I just saw it there and thought,
Yeah.
well, that might
I thought
fill
I
their
read something
needs.
that had been gifted.
Yeah, there's an old one had been gifted to the airstrip at
Yeah,
Warialda.
that's where.
Yeah, that's what I read. And Catherine, you'd be, or Councillor Egan, be very interested in the hard facing on the paddles and
You know what
Yeah.
I thought it was when I looked at it? And
look
I,
like stalactites.
I thought it looked like the warriors, in China, and I'm trying to
Ah,
look
yeah,
at
it
them and
does.
see. I thought they'd put it upside
It
down.
does a bit. Yeah.
That's hard facing on the pedal.
On Cunningham Park, we've got grant applications in for two things there. One is a skate park, and the other one is an all abilities park. So, you know, at Cunningham Park, there may be a lot more activity over the next.
That's with
It could be a wonderful
Nick,
precinct over there.
Nick Tobin, I think. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I have got one little. Sorry, Councillor.
Could I just
Yeah.
ask that we pull the blind down behind Mac's place?
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry, it's
Yeah.
just glaring.
Councillor Galvin, have you got your microphone on, Councillor? I can't see a red light there.
The over at the park, the Cunningham Park, underneath that play equipment, we're going to get rid of that sand, aren't we?
I don't know.
Oh.
But we are trying to replace all the soft fall under playground equipment with Australian standard material, so it could be, but I'll have to check that up.
Okay, yeah, because the dogs sort of get in
Yeah, I
there
know, and
and
cats.
cats and
Can I just ask, if we did get you that say everyone the can skate play park's the funding one to that I modify that
forward and
park,
was
it'll
the
have
gift
different
to,
software.
if it was
Still
Yeah.
the same?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He's applied for
So he
funding.
has done the funding?
yeah.
Oh, that's excellent, thank you.
I
Much
was disappointed to see this red barn. I mean, I think it's probably going to be a magnificent thing, but it's so Americanised. I'd like to see an Australian type building. Too late, I guess.
And for the life of me, I can't understand why it's a big red blob up on the horizon.
Yeah, I just disappointed to
I
look at
thought
this.
it'd fade into the background and be, but from the golf course, it's a big red barn.
Anyway, that's only a very minor.
It is minor,
Yeah.
but I saw it from the golf course and thought the same thing.
Yeah.
on a positive note, I love the tree guards.
Yes.
They're really nice.
They're recycled plastic.
Yeah,
They're good, aren't they?
they're really nice.
Speaking of which, Max, I think there's one tree missing in the run along Junction Street.
There is.
There is? Yes, thank you, Francis.
What do you mean, that it wasn't planted or it's
Yeah,
dead?
it wasn't, the spaces, it looks like, oh, we forgot to put that one in.
It might be where you, so you can turn the Toyota around, they take a fair bit of room.
Oh, well, anyway, it's up towards the Cunningham Street end.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
That end.
Yeah.
Is there any questions, Anne or Max? If not, we'll move on. I'll ask that report be received.
I'll move
Councillor Young, seconded, please.
Yes.
Councillor Egan, I'll put the motion.
Just,
Oh, you got a
sorry,
question?
I just want to say congratulations to Anthony and Ruby because they did very well to become finalists.
Yeah, very
They
good,
did,
very
they
good.
did.
If I missed that, Ruby, saying that too, and I think Ruby started to get her senses back a bit after jumping out of an aeroplane. She's, but anyway, no, congratulations to you, Ruby, and Anthony's not here, but very, very good to be selected to go that far.
Yeah.
Now, I had a mover and a seconder that report be received. I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against no, carried. Item 3, technical services. Report, I'll hand over to Alex this time.
Happy to take any questions on this report. This was for the month of May, and we've had a few developments with our big projects since then that aren't included in this report, which I'll just briefly update you on. The most exciting one is the bypass, and we have an executed deed by all three parties concerned, the council, the Lands Council of Moree and the New South Wales Lands Council. Yesterday we paid the Lands Council for the withdrawal of their Aboriginal land claims and their consent to our construction licence. They are now contractually obliged to, within the next 2 weeks, provide notice to Crown Lands that they consent to our amended construction licence, and we can build a road.
Alex, does that refer to the land around or adjacent to the truck wash as well?
the licence or the...
No.
It doesn't? No.
Oh, well,
No, there's an Aboriginal land claim on that lot.
Yeah, I
and-
just wondering
that's
whether it's
federal
all
claim.
inclusive.
Yes, so it's withdrawal of claims over the entire route.
Yeah.
but it doesn't do anything for the federal. We still have to go forward with some kind of a EULA.
Okay. This is, I'm talking about truck
Yeah.
wash end.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So that, yeah, we'll have a dozer lined up for about 3 weeks, ready to knock over some trees. Our Fixing Local Roads Round 2 project for Oregon Road is underway. We'll be running gravel out for that today. We've been crushing gravel in a pit for past fortnight, and things are looking fairly good there.
Can I just go back to the bypass?
Yep.
I know you did some drill tests in the rock where it has to be, the road has to be lowered, for want of a better word. How difficult is it going to be? Is it going to be costly, that excavation?
So what we, the short of it is about $85,000 for earthworks.
Yeah.
We did some test holes with an excavator. We got to material that we weren't able to rip easily with a ripper shank.
Yeah.
The contractor we have on standby has access to a dozer up to a 9 size,
Yeah.
and that's been costed into
Right.
the quote they've provided.
Yeah, will that hold it up a bit or not?
It might slow things up a little bit, but we'll structure it so that if there's a section where there's rock to be ripped and a bit more heavy earthworks, that'll be done last, and we can have a construction crew working on another section.
I think we're all looking forward to it.
None more than I am.
Yeah.
Other than those two things, Horton Road, Fixing Local Roads Round 1 is underway. This wet winter has been pretty bad for construction. A little bit of rain each week, and roads aren't drying out because we don't have the sun and the hot weather to get them dry, and it has really slowed up our progress across the Shire. And there's more rain forecast for this week. We would never have thought we'd be in this situation 2 years ago.
And we would never ever complain about it, would we?
No. That's probably about it from me. Happy to take any questions.
Questions?
Looking like good news anyway.
Yes.
Alex, has the flood damage work been approved?
Flood damage work has not been approved. They recently granted an extension for emergency restoration works for the second event, the Shire-wide one. Our claim, I don't believe, has been submitted yet. There was some fine-tuning with on-costs and backwards and forwards between us and Resilience New South Wales. They are only paying 35% on cost, I think it is, on salaries and wages. Our rates are 48, so there'll be a little bit of a cost to council in that flood damage. The claim being $13 million, if it's $150,000, $200,000, it's probably not a bad outcome.
Right, and you were speaking to them about getting an early payment for the emergency works. Have you been successful with that?
So the emergency works are claimed. I mean, there's a timeline on the emergency work. So once that's done, then we're done and dusted. And I think we've got 3 weeks to do that, and then we can claim those funds.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Alex, just with the emergency works, how sort of far through are we with all that? I mean,
I couldn't tell you exactly. There might be a couple of dozen of items still outstanding. The task is enormous. There's about 1,200 damages Shire-wide, and we're just chipping away.
a lot of damage.
Well, you know, when you've got 8 vehicles and
Yes,
15 people going to each job, it takes a long time.
The road at Market Street, that's the one that goes down onto that, couldn't we have got that in flooding?
Which one, sorry?
It's 80,000 that we hadn't budgeted for, in Market Street to the Warialla Creek Bridge.
Market Street to Warrior.
No, this is
Page 39. Would that not be, I'm sure it would have been damaged in the flood, wouldn't it?
Are you talking about the plan on the back of the?
And I'm just reading here that it's unfunded. This work is, it's a construction one, access road along Warren.
Oh, right, no, that's a new road. That's the caravan parking area on
Oh, yeah.
the
Okay.
creek at
There
Warrialla.
was damage to the culvert, which is,
But wasn't that
Gonna be
coming
s-
out of a grant? That,
yes, it was, but we're extending it further along as a second phase
Right.
now. And that
Okay.
was
well,
after-
I've got a question on that too. Is it in and out on the one end, or are you having it out on the other end? On the
So
western
there
end?
is a plan attached to this business
Yeah, I
paper.
know, I know.
Is the plan
I think it's back to
inside
front,
out
the
or
plan,
upside down?
down.
Something's wrong with the plan.
The
Had a bit
writing
of trouble too.
Right, I'll just have to find it myself. There'll be
41.
there's an inn with a loop off Hope
Yes,
Street,
yes.
and the two exits, the two other streets, will both be exits only. So
There's an exit out past, in Hall Street.
yes,
That's,
Okay.
is that
and then another exit in Market Street.
Yeah, right.
do we swing it over, Dave? Could we do it like that? I don't know.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
That's
I'm
not
sorry, I'm
quite
not sure
right.
what's happened there. That's
Now that-
It's
hence-
like a mirror image.
it is a
hence
mirror
the
image.
question,
Didn't
Alex.
give us a mirror.
That was a test, was it, Alex, to see if we were reading our business paper?
That was, and I'm pleased that everybody's passed it.
I think you've got water running uphill there, but I'm not sure. Any other question of Alex?
The green makes it highlight, doesn't it?
Um,
I'll move
So
the
the-
report.
You move the report. Thank you, councillor Collins. Councillor Egan seconded that. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Hence no carried. Next item is 4, Organisation Community Services Report. Where?
Like Alex, this report is a little bit dated now. It is as of May. Alex is dated, yes, not as dated as I am. This report is a little dated. I'll highlight, and preempting some questions you might have for me, Nauru has 2 spare beds at the moment, and saying that a number of our residents have been upgraded to be high care, and a few with end-of-life care, so the funding has increased there at Nauru accordingly. We put in 2 grant applications, $1.2 million under the aged care approval round, which is the round that previously funded the kitchen development at Nauru, and that's to build in an activities area, which will be in addition to the facility, sort of, I don't know my directions, but towards All Abilities Park out
Yeah.
that side.
South.
So currently there's a sunroom that's not used at all, it's just used as storage, so that will be extended to be an activities room, as well as doing some other bits and pieces to aid with diversional therapy in the facility. And the Business Improvement Fund grant, which we're told is almost a given, it's to upgrade our IT systems and purchase bits and pieces that assist with care and make things more manual handling appropriate for manual handling even. The equipment that we touched on at the workshop the other day, you now have pitchers, and that's to assist people when they fall, and proven to be cause less harm than what we have currently. So that's on its way. The accreditation expires in December, so we'll be going through that process again. We're already going through the self-audit to lodge it with the funding body or the accreditation body.
Well, I was asked about accreditation from a Willoughby person who works in aged care in Sydney, and I said that we were pretty right with it now. Is that correct answer?
We went through flying colours last time.
Yeah,
It happens every 3 years.
Yes.
And then you have the spot audits in between, and we haven't had any issues.
No, I didn't think so. It
At all.
did for a while, but
Yeah.
the older part, wasn't it, had to be updated. And
They seem to move the goalposts
Yeah.
all the time, but Sharon keeps abreast of the industry changes, so we try and factor that into any budgeting that we have to address that. Like all auditors, they'll come in and they'll give us some things to improve on, whether it be policy or documentation, and we just implement what they say. They come back and check, and away we go. So everything that we do at Nauru now is based on the quality standards, so it underpins everything that we do, which makes it easy when you come to accreditation time.
the other question I had was, are all our people there that work there vaccinated?
I can't answer that. I
It's just
presume.
been mandated, hasn't it?
Yes.
Until September.
Have we? Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask
Right.
John. I'm not sure, but I'll let you know. It's mandated, so it'll have to happen.
It's only just mandated, so.
Yes.
yeah.
Short of that, I'm happy to answer any questions. The newsletter, I just wanted to run past you. Going out to the community meetings, you would have heard that some people just aren't getting them.
Yeah.
So we're looking at options to get the news, and one of the options may be to actually physically post it to people, put a stamp on it and put it in an envelope, which will increase the cost. So we're looking at how we can do that in a different way. Unfortunately, not a lot of people are taking up the option to get it electronically. So we're printing it again for July and sending it out, and the front page will say this is the last printed version, please subscribe if you want to get a hard copy or give us your email address. But people just aren't responding. They're saying they want it. The people that get it are appreciating it, but it's not getting out there to others. So I really don't know where to go from that, but we're working on it.
Well, Kim's in the room. It's a terrific publication. I think she's doing a great job, Kim. I've had one request from a former resident that moved away that used to get the paper, that it be sent. I mean, you have to subscribe, I understand that, but I sent him a couple of copies yesterday. But we'll have to look at that, the old mailing list. Because there is a lot of people that have moved away. Still, it surprises you who still used to read the paper anyway. And I've had several occasions where they've come back for a function and they comment on things that we're doing at council because they're reading the paper. So it's more important than you may think.
Kim, do you have anything to add to that? No.
Well, no, just the same thing. The feedback is good.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to want it, but the people that you can have the same conversation and go back and they haven't subscribed. So it's been in every one. It's been on Facebook. I just don't know how to convert that. I was talking about with Charisse a Teams list so that the VIX could add people from there, and maybe if we organise something with the Caravana thing, we can get some some visitors on the list as well.
They're not being sent. At the moment, they're not being sent to the old subscriber list, are they?
Anyone in the Shire?
No, outside.
No.
Outside.
There was some that asked to be retained on there that
Right.
getting them.
Because I think that the next edition, as you said, you're going to put it on the front page. It was to be made very clear that this is now subscription only. And I think people will take it up. But and just as an aside, I still didn't get the last. You gave me the last one, but didn't come in my mail box.
So disappointing.
Yeah.
So is that come down to the post office?
Yes.
I take the physical copies in there, and so I don't know what happens.
No. Now, Councillor Egan's got the floor.
Could I ask, is it not maybe something we could do through our library? The library has a space. If we put those copies there at the front, and Kim, you're working from the library now, aren't you? Is it not something that the residents who wish to have it, and we send out copies of, the library takes out copies to all the little villages, could a copy not be taken to all the villages and all the residents go to that point to get their copy?
Perhaps. Yep.
Just working out
Have a couple
how many.
I think the point is, are we going to charge for it? Because you could do that. You could do that in the towns at the stock agents and things like that as well. But we've got to charge for it. Don't we?
Yeah. Print run every month it costs 5,500. Is that right, Kim?
And how many copies is that putting out,
It's about
please?
5,000.
5,000.
How many copies do you put out?
That's 2,500.
2,000. So it needs to, we have to get $2.50 a copy at least, so $3 to be ahead.
And to post that, it's $1.10, isn't it?
Yeah. That'd be on top of this subscription.
top of it, yeah.
Councillor Galvin, I'll give you a go.
I was only going to say, but it's probably not cost effective if we could go to the end of the year with it and then go, but it's probably not cost effective.
People won't subscribe until you stop giving it to them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
When it's on Facebook and it says, if you want a copy, please subscribe, and can email directly to you, that's when they'll send their email in, when they can't get the copy anymore.
The only thing I would say not against what Helen's saying, but people aren't getting it. Like, so they haven't got used to getting it, so they're not going to subscribe. So I think we probably need to look at how we can get it out there and then get people used to having it, and then...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, if we somehow get it out there and people can see it.
Mm.
Like, no, it's not your fault, I know, because you're taking it there, but people aren't delivering it. And then they know what they're missing out on.
Councillor Young.
I don't know what else, we'll have to look at it.
I misunderstood. So those people that were subscribers before we became a newsletter out of town, like you, no longer get it.
This is out of the Shire.
Yeah, out of the Shire, no longer get it. Well, I don't, no. So
Because they were paying to have that delivered before.
And they probably had
that's
some
right.
credit left too, Councillor Goulburn, from the old paper,
So,
I would have thought.
No, they didn't. We made sure that they were
okay.
finalised.
yeah.
Councillor Dick.
Leah, some time ago the Nauru was chewing up electricity. Do you know offhand how we're going with the electricity?
The solar panels have kicked in. I don't know. I can't question without notice like that. I could let you know. But
could you let me know?
Yeah, sure.
That'd be good.
It was something like
we were
12 or 15,000 a month it was, the power.
That was before.
Yeah,
the
before
solar
the
panels.
panels.
Yeah.
That's it.
and we were to get a report on how the solar systems are working throughout the Shire. We never got that report.
Like Tim Greensall left the organisation and he was the one that was all over that. So I can find out if anyone else has got the skill to do it.
It shouldn't.
Max, can't we just look at a general bill and say
and compare
for
it.
Yeah,
September we
electricity.
paid, in 20 we paid $20,000. In
Yeah.
21 we've paid
You can.
12.
Yeah.
We know then we've saved
Yeah,
$8,000.
that's right.
That's about all we want to know. We don't want to know how many
Not each unit.
megahertz or whatever they are that they carry.
Don't get too technical, Councillor.
Yeah.
Regan.
I don't know what they are.
Councillor Smith.
Can I also say about the postage, is anyone else concerned that
We pay for
contractors are paid to deliver to country?
Yeah, I find that
What other mail is
absolutely.
missing? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not only our documents, what other stuff's not?
Well, we
being-
know back at electoral time when we put out documents that they never ever went out.
They're independent contractors too, they aren't actually employed by the post office, they're
No.
employed by Australia Post,
Right.
but not the individual.
Something you'd never know. Right, plenty of people say, oh, we never got this or that or...
Yeah.
Did you get yours? Your last
I
one?
think it's on the table, so I don't know whether it came out or whether Vicky picked up or Rachel or something, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I did read it, it was very good.
Yeah.
That's just one thing I just wanted to say to either Kim or Leah. Do we get much out of advertising? Like there's ads in the
Yeah, it
newsletter,
does.
are we getting much out of that or?
It won't cover, it won't.
No,
cover the
obviously it won't
cost.
cover it, but
But yeah, a little,
Good.
the government ads are.
Other ones.
do
yeah.
we getting government ads?
Well, we have been.
Yeah,
This one
right,
is
leading up to an
The
election you'll get a few.
monthly, being monthly, it's a lot harder with the government ads, but
Yeah.
last month we had the full page ad and which required
Yeah,
adding the extra 4 pages, which is what the cost increase
Yeah.
was, but that covered the cost increase.
Yeah.
So,
other one was
I'm like Max, I
the,
would pay for it.
being only a monthly, I've had a few people say, oh, that, you know, they don't, because a lot of the news is a little bit old, and it's not your fault, Kim or anyone's, but it's, you know, obviously we can't, I suppose, we can't go back to a fortnightly or, I mean, it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Couldn't-
But that's one of the things, by the time some of the stuff is out of date, but it is a good, yeah, it's a good publication, it is.
even by the time, like I took it to the post office on the Thursday and I got mine on the following Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just here, like,
That's
I took it to the Bingra post office and I'm in the Bingra postal area and.
That's 2 postal
so
days we should
even
have
that,
had
and so
before.
how long it takes to get to Worcester or anywhere else.
Yeah,
you know, I've got
yeah.
no idea. So that's the problem as well, it's just crazy.
So we're looking at how we can get it out there in a different way, and we'll come back to you. The other question I'm preempting is the Roxy Cafe potential lease. And we do have a very promising collection of people, 2 families that are looking at leasing the Roxy Cafe, but nothing's been set in stone as yet, but it's very exciting.
That's great.
Hopefully it'll come off.
They've submitted their business plan.
That's good.
It'd be a very difficult time to be going into business, wouldn't it, when you can be locked down for a fortnight?
It's a family operation, which I think is probably the best way to run the cafe.
Yeah.
Speaking of business plans, have we had anything on the daycare centre? Long daycare centre for children?
No, and we've followed it up twice with the Ms. Lavender, and we haven't received anything back, so I'm not sure what is
How long
going
do
on.
we keep on going with that, Max? Is it some stage or other we've probably got to look at whether we just sell the bloody thing?
Yeah.
Well, I think that there's been someone was keen to buy it.
In the interim, yeah, we've had 2 offers actually.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, well, I'd be inclined to sell it. And,
There's more and more of my thinking, and there's more and more. Are we just? If there was a lot of interest, they would have been back to us by now. You would think.
well, I think too that it's the Chambers baby, and their bunch should be following it up more so than us. But I don't think you can sacrifice the sale of that house on the pretense that maybe we'll use it.
Maybe,
yeah.
Are the offers of a reasonable?
I think the most recent one was 240.
Oh my goodness, we should take it.
Yeah.
We should.
I move that we take the offer.
I'll second that.
Well, they can't do that.
Well,
Why can't we?
I think we should wait until if the people don't come back, if we put a time limit on it, like 2 weeks or something, if there's been no movement on their part, like we haven't got anything to assess at all at the moment. And I agree, I think, with what the Mayor said, that really the Chamber are the ones that activated it, and they've sort of like now palmed it off onto us to follow up, and it was my understanding that they were going to follow up with the Inverell people, not us. So.
Well, going back to the first time we talked about that house, the offer was 185 and the recommendation was not to accept that because it was too low and to wait for a better offer. Well, we've received 2 better offers, obviously.
Yeah.
So we should be moving on that.
Yeah, well, look, you can be assured the Chamber will hear this conversation and they'll understand how we feel. But I don't think we can hold it much longer anyway. On the hope of a wing and a prayer that they might get a centre, I think we've got to be practical with our property. And if we sell this,
practical, John, we have to, because we can't afford to give away a house.
no, and I think if we sell this, something else will come up somewhere anyway if it needs be. But anyway, all right. Is there any other questions of Leah? Yes, Councillor Moore.
Just to say to Leah, on palliative care and end of life. Rotary mentioned it to Sharon once, and we have money set aside for anyone that wants to do a course in that.
The training.
Yeah, training. So
Okay.
if you've got anyone that wants to go away and do it.
Yep.
Rotary will fund a reasonable amount of it.
Wonderful. I'll mention that to her.
Yeah.
Again. Yep.
Councillor Young, you got something?
With that, like when you've put in that, I read that, the extra staffing, I think that's really important because that's sort of what the whole Shire's known for. When you go to a bigger place, it doesn't happen.
No.
So I think that's really important, that extra staffing for end-of-life palliative care.
I was really quite uncomfortable when Sharon first mentioned that end of life happening at Nauru, but it's really quite a beautiful thing.
It is. It's so much better for them to be in their own home,
That
whether it be wherever they are, what they class as their home.
Yes, it's very nice to be able to offer that to the residents of Nauru.
Yeah.
And Sharon has the skills, and so does Judy. Dependent on who we have there in the future will depend on how we can progress with that.
Yeah, you two are so bad up there.
Leah, you mentioned to me the other day, there's now looking like there's a demand for the next stage where we're going to have the housing up there. Do you think that that's going to be possible for council to do something like that?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the financial implications, but and there's only been 2 people mention it to me, but they've gone out of their way to mention it and ask for when we're going to do it. We would have to look at it with, put a business case together, but it's a perfect location and there's just nothing that offers that in between other than our Holden and Plunkett Street units, and they're a different standard and a different type of.
Well, yes, because we're talking about a home, not like a house, somebody's home, not a unit.
A villa.
That's right.
But we would have to, basically, to initiate that, we'd have to get a housing development going, get the utilities in there,
Yes.
and then they go ahead and build it themselves, right?
I don't know the language, but there's a way that council manages, they buy them off the plan, but the ownership, when the person passes away, there's some legal arrangement where it goes into transition that council can then on-sell them and pay the others out.
Yeah, we buy it back at a lesser rate and then obviously paint it and new carpets and things and sell it again.
Polish it and
Yeah,
sell it
that's
off.
how other centres work, but it's going to be a pretty capital intensive program.
It would be lovely
There's a lot of legislation around it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I dare say, yeah.
Just installing the infrastructure for council will be a considerable cost.
Mm.
So it's an exciting thought to think it may happen. And one of the people that asked me about it has been recently widowed, and she's in a huge home and she wants to stay in Warialda and sell her huge home that she's having difficulty maintaining, but certainly doesn't want to be in that environment that is Plunkett and Holden Street units. They want the garden and they want to be close to medical services. So I would love to see it happen in my time at council, but it's a huge infrastructure investment.
Maybe it's something, if we were to sell some of these houses that we've got, it'd probably be a good thing to put that into.
Yeah.
Something like that, or it'd look a lot better.
Yeah, I saw one. We went and inspected one at Gilgandra, which was very successful. They call it over 50s living, and tremendous setup it was, and expanding like anything. It's actually quite a good business for that council, but the initial kick-off would be very costly. Yeah.
I mean, that's industry. We look at every other sort of industry.
We do.
That's a sort of industry that's really applicable to our...
You're right.
That's the sort of industry we should be investigating.
And we're losing that group, that demographic from our community because we can't offer we don't have what they need.
Yeah.
So I don't know how high the demand is. Maybe we do a bit of a business case and see what's really involved and cost it.
Probably a bit like, if you build it, they will come. I think that would be the case. Yeah.
We already have sufficient design work done to actually lodge a development application for it, if you would like to do that. As a first step. At least
Now,
get the
I'm not
approvals.
exactly sure how it works. If we had the curb and gutter in and the utilities, then in the first instance, the people that want to move there, they pay for the building of the house, is that
That's right. They buy it off the plan.
Yeah.
The other place we had earmarked for it was Bannockburn. No, it's not Bannockburn. What's it called? Rayburn.
Bradburn.
Bradburn.
And
yeah,
I
that's
had a
right.
V on it.
But it wasn't like that. Was more just subdivision. Yeah.
I know, but it could be amended to be that type of thing where those people can drive there, go for up the street and
But I think the idea of this is, though, that
It's
it
a
was adjacent to
continuum
no
of-
It's the
area.
jump
And you
off
just
step.
progress on through, if you call that progress.
Yeah, but our units, all the elderly moved in there because they could still have independent life, and we could do those sort of
The other thing is it's
We're putting
limited.
in a new footpath
Townhouses.
so that people can drive their go for all the way from
Right
there.
to
And
town.
It's
yes,
limited,
that's true.
limited room on the Bradburn block. You'd only get 2 or 3 houses there.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's food for thought, probably something for another council, I think.
The
Next
important
council.
thing, I think, is if we're going to do something like that, we don't make it look like the outskirts of Muswellbrook, where there's, just that stream of houses coming down, and it's just awful. We want to make it an attractive subdivision, for want of a better word, and they don't want to look like they're living in a house cheek by jail arrangement.
And I dread bringing it up, but I will again. The potential for Bingra to do the same is the depot site.
I totally agree.
Yeah, so
we're happy to
there's opportunity in
advance
both communities.
I totally agree.
Well,
And I think
if you're going to look at it that way, then there's no need really to have it next to Nauru.
No.
Like I would hate to be building a house on sand, but if you want to grow a garden, but I thought the idea was to have them all close, but maybe it's not necessary.
No, the idea was it was close to the hospital, close to Nauru, and that
Yeah.
natural progression, whatever, however you want to put it.
It's not actually progress, Leah. It's
Regression. But now, and that's why we were following our streetscape plan and linking the 1.2 metre width path down to town. It's not that far, and we've got the recreation space that is All Abilities Park that's for the elderly as much as for youth. It's I think in Warialda there's no other place that you would put it. Sand would be a concern.
I suppose you put a bit of good soil on top of the sand.
Raised garden beds for crotchety people, isn't it?
Right.
Veggie pods, I believe.
Yes.
You can grow some stuff in sand, you know.
Yeah, like pine, black pine.
Over in Western Australia.
Anyway, we better keep going. What's that?
I don't know. I was just going
Stuart.
to ask before we left, the Warialda Rail water thing, there's been no feedback on that after the meeting?
Well,
They were
it's-
against
it's-
it at the
It's the
meeting.
next
Yeah, I know,
item.
they were against
It's
it.
coming up in the
So
next
did-
item, so let's deal with this one.
Yep, I thought it was in this
Just
one.
two additional
No, it's the next
recommendations.
Yes, sure.
One is about the solar panels reporting on the savings for electricity. The other one is that we give a 3-week deadline, or we will withdraw our offer on 123 High Street.
Okay, so that's addition to the recommendation we received the report. I haven't got a mover yet, have I? No, they don't have it. Councillor Galvin, Councillor Egan is seconding that. Any questions? Everybody happy with that recommendation? If so, I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. And now to
Before we
item,
move away, Max, could you mention the fact that the house has been, we have had an offer on it?
Yeah.
So that they know what their starting point is?
oh yes, yeah.
I'd
be inclined to say that we have, because we've got other,
Yeah, interested party.
Yeah.
for the house, we'd like a.
What, I should point out, one of the offers was from a real estate agent, but the highest one was an independent private offer made directly to the council.
Well,
That
that's better
didn't
still.
involve a real estate agent.
No commission,
Yeah.
that's great.
Can I just, and it's, I think I need to make a statement about the childcare centre.
Yes.
Only, what Alex said in the council chambers a couple of months ago has stuck in the back of my mind, and we were talking about losing elderly that are in that in-between patch to other communities. By not having long daycare in whatever form somewhere in Warialda, we potentially are excluding professionals with young families coming into our community as well. So if council can consider supporting a long daycare centre in some way, shape or form, but that doesn't have to be our house, I think you need to keep in the back of your mind that people may not be coming to our communities with young families and are going to be the future because they don't have childcare. So it's something we certainly need to build into our social planning going forward. I just wanted to say that.
Now, look, I couldn't agree with you more, Leah, but I use the example of the Warialda Preschool. Warialda Preschool was started by families with children, and it's been relatively independent of council over a long period of time and very successful.
Yep.
I believe this needs to be the same way, and it started out that way, but it seems to have paused for a bit. And I think if we let those that need it push, it'll be more successful.
Perhaps the market's not there, but as I said, I'm just concerned that people are not coming to our community, working professional people, because we don't have that facility.
That's a definite, yeah.
Yep.
All right, we move on then to item 5, potential reticulated water supply for Warialda Rail. Well, I think the report says it all. We mentioned this at the community meeting at Warialda Rail, and
I don't think there was any.
no, nobody at that
against.
meeting was in favour of it.
No one was for it.
And they were concerned that if it was put on, those that already have water would have to pay anyway. So the message came through loud and clear that we abandoned that project.
So that's good.
Francis 71.
Any questions? Do you want to say anything on that, Councillor Young?
No, I just wanted to see if there was any other, the residents.
No.
No, so that's good. isn't
I
it?
move the recommendation.
The recommendation by Councillor Egan and seconded by Councillor Smith. I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. Very good. Item 6 is the monthly investment rates collection report, and I hand over with much pleasure to Helen.
It's the same standard report. I can take any questions if you have any. Being that it's the 30th of June today, everything gets a bit hectic as of tomorrow. We've got 48 days to have a full set of statements completed to send off to the audit office, so it's going to be busy. We're the first council for Forsyths to have their statements ready. We've already got a draft set to them, so we're on track. So.
Yep, and I see where your discretionary general fund cash is $500,000. Which
yep.
That's
good to see.
Helen.
Good to see, Helen, and also it was good to see that our auditors have been reappointed.
Yeah, so they've been extended for another 2 years.
Yeah.
5 years, isn't it?
Two.
Took up the option.
Yeah, it was 3 years plus the option for 2, so they've taken on the 2.
Oh, that would be fine.
Can I also add the deed of agreement that we had with the Moree Lands Council required the seal of council? Can I add that onto the?
Oh, yes.
As noting the seal too.
Radio.
That's good, isn't it?
Okay, so there's no questions on that. It is more or less standard report.
Yep.
It's good to see the funds that are invested and all. It's looking pretty healthy, Helen. And by the way, welcome back after your surgery. Good to see your smiling face again.
Yeah.
So is there any, with the addition of that wording of the seal, is somebody like to move the recommendation?
I'll move that.
Councillor Young moved, seconded Councillor Moore. I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carried. And item 7, as you would have read, this complaint from John Cush about council in general, I would say.
Yeah.
I've just got a couple of little comments before we discuss this. One is that it's disappointing to me that Mr. Cush found it necessary to go to the Ombudsman and not come to council directly. I mean, you would go somewhere else if you weren't getting satisfaction from a complaint with council, but when you avoid them altogether, it's just a malicious complaint, I believe. And I imagine that he'd be very tired every night after carrying that chip around on his shoulder all day. But that's his problem, I guess. Now, does anybody want to discuss the complaint? Max has answered the letter, which you would have seen.
I haven't sent it. That's a draft. If anyone wants to make comment, I'm happy to hear it. It's included comments that other people have made to an earlier draft. I tried to remove all the things that were trademarked.
Happy for it to go. Steve?
Yeah.
Bit I'd like to say, but I'd have to turn my microphone on.
I think we all feel the same way. I mean, this does no good to anybody, this sort of complaint. We're always open to criticism as a council, and there's always an answer if that criticism is sought. But to go about it this way is pretty ordinary, I believe. And I guess it'd be a lot easier to take if it was coming from a community member that actually made some contribution to the community, but when it's somebody that just knocks all the time, it's a bit hard to wear.
I'm actually very cautious when I write to people like the Ombudsman or any of those people, because if you don't show sufficient caution and intelligence, they might think you're a fool.
Yeah. And the other thing people have got to realise is it comes straight back to us anyway. We get it word for word, so you've got to be careful what you say.
And the thing is, with the exception of one other person that we understand was infallible, he must be the second only infallible person in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
Because these are just human error mistakes, phone numbers and dates and things like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. Beck?
Yeah, Councillor Moore.
The comment I'd like to make on this is, it's very easy for you to write a letter or put it on Facebook or whatever, because you don't have to front people.
Yeah.
But why don't you front up the council and put this together?
Exactly. No, it's a backdoor way of doing things, there's no doubt about that.
Would you like me to include in the letter an invitation for him to address the council?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm happy to add that to the bottom.
Yeah, that's fine. You can give him an invitation to address the council, but the understanding is you can do that any day, any meeting. You don't have to be invited to do it. But if it takes an invitation, so be it.
You'll never win
No.
No, that's right. I hope it came through, Councillor Smith. Councillor Dick.
Mr Mayor, I agree with you. This gentleman, I managed the Tinga fire for 8 days and 8 nights, and he came to the public meeting and made complaints there. He seems to be someone that perpetually complains about all these sort of things.
Yeah, I don't know why we're wasting all this time on it really, but
What's the recommendation?
the recommendation is that the response addressing the issues raised in the attached correspondence and recent email be prepared and forwarded to Mr Cush. Well, it's pretty much been prepared, it just hasn't been forwarded yet.
I'll move them.
With the addition.
With the addition of the invitation. The addition was the invitation. You moved that recommendation, Councillor Colton.
I did.
And I'm looking for a seconder.
Yeah.
And I've got them everywhere. I'm going to go Councillor Moore.
Good.
Is there any other comment? If not, I'll put the motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, no, carry. And then there's a whole list of complaints. Where am I up to? Item 7, item 8 I mean, is the workshop recommendation to council. So this is the recommendation that we made at our workshop a couple of weeks ago. Is there any questions on that? So included that, of course, is the adoption of the 2% rise in rates that's been afforded to us by IPART. Anyway,
the bushfire prone land.
Yeah, the bushfire prone land, which is still pending, as you know. We're expecting them.
I'll then issue an invitation to those guys to come up.
Oh, once it's adopted, yeah, because they indicate, the RFS people that we spoke to on a Zoom meeting that day indicated they would come and look, because we feel that there's no advantage in changing the zoning and that we're being judged by other areas. So they said they'd come and look at that, which would be good. That'll be subject to this being approved.
I'd just like to say that I thought that that was a very good outcome
Yeah,
for that, because,
yeah.
I really did. I thought that they were very easy to talk to. I thought you did very well, John, so well done to you.
I guess if it doesn't succeed, at least we tried.
Yeah.
That's Okay, well, I have a mover of the recommendation, that we accept those recommendations. Councillor Smith, and seconder please. Councillor Dick. I'll put that motion. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And it's now carried. If that we go into confidential.
If you run councillors' reports before we go.
Oh yes, we can do that.
If I could just do the first one. If the restrictions continue in the way that they have been applied to date, I'm suggesting that we would have to hold the committee meeting here in July, because we won't be able to meet the requirement up at the Warrialda thing, but hopefully we'll be able to have the council meeting in July back in Warrialda if it all clears up.
Yeah, we understand.
It's only next week, isn't it, the committee meeting?
That's right.
On the 8th, yeah, it's pretty soon.
So we haven't really got time.
So that when we get the new layout there at Warrialda, would we meet the distancing requirement or not? You know, Leo, have you looked at that?
No.
We still wouldn't.
It's
No,
the size.
too
It's the
small.
size of the room.
Yeah.
That's
As we could take in, so the proposal is to close off the public toilets that are adjoining the council chamber.
which are non-compliant in terms of disabled access.
Yeah.
And old and needing updating, investing anyway, and putting public toilets purpose-built somewhere else in Warrialda, but extending the council chamber then so it's a bathroom for councillors, anyone in that room, as well as a breakout room, office, something, it's quite a big space. So that could factor in that additional space. It could work then, yes.
Hopefully by then, by the time that's done, this will be over. But I mean, completely over. But, I don't know if it'll ever be completely over, will it, this COVID thing?
I think it's our new normal.
I think we'll all be vaccinated by then anyway.
Yeah.
How many people here have been vaccinated already?
We had one.
Oh, and one.
I've
had one.
I've had one.
I've got mine
So-
next week, my first one next week.
Yeah.
I've got my second one next week.
From that Hoxton Park group in Sydney, that there was people there that had had 2 vaccinations. They didn't catch COVID. And there's people that had 1 vaccination and they also didn't catch COVID.
Something like 6 out of the
There was
group.
26 out of 26 others that did.
It did, and no one with the vaccination caught it.
Yeah, that was a pretty good ad for the vaccine.
Yeah.
Very interesting throwback in the face of that program
So
on
you're-
television tonight.
Done your
The
bit.
other one was
Yeah, that's all. that's
Adam
all.
Marshall.
Yeah, okay.
With those, was there 4 people at a, I could be wrong about this, I won't. 4 people at a dinner or something, and he was the only one that wasn't vaccinated from what we can gather.
And he was the only one that
Only
did
one.
it.
It looks like the vaccination is works.
Yeah, well, Councillor Egan, we'll go around the room.
Uh,
I think you need to be congratulated.
I'm just going to talk about our Orange Festival and say it was so successful. It was an amazing success. We had a huge crowd. People were happy. Everyone was really happy. Fortunately, we got it over before the lockdown, the mask down on the 6 o'clock deadline. The business houses were all very happy. I haven't heard any of the business houses have a negative. They all did well out of it. The stall holders all did well. We busted ourselves. We're too old for it. What we do need is young people coming along, because I can see it failing in the future for the lack of young people supporting us. Just on our own stall, which we raise money for next year's festival, we worked from 6:45 in the morning till 10 to 6 that night with 3 people, plus 2 people that came. He came to visit for the weekend and spent his weekend in our stall. So for the lack of people, I can see some of our things in the community are going to fail unless we can inspire young ones to get in and take control of their community. And what a progress thing.
In saying that, you had some there was some younger staff there that did an amazing job.
Our coordinator up the main street, thrown in, absolutely fantastic, and I'd like a letter to Casey.
Yes, I'd second that. She did an
amazing job.
And
there.
Courtney was there alongside her. You know, Courtney was there working. I thought it was a terrific effort.
And Jenny Mead. Look, the staff have just been fabulous.
Yeah.
You can't knock the staff at all. There was just great support from the staff. But the community has to come on board. They have to take some responsibility for their own future. If we're promoting the town and trying to create business for business houses and everything, we have to have more support from the locals.
Do that? Because it's a problem over Warrior.
I don't know, and I look at the workers that are out there, the Lions people. Lions have fortunately taken on, I think they've got about half a dozen young ones come along. And in saying that, when I say young, I don't mean your 20 and 30-year-olds, I mean your 50-year-olds. They're young now. But we need to have some 40 and 50-year-olds come along and support us. Otherwise, I don't know, they must be sitting on their couch watching screens or something because they're not there supporting us.
But I think it's a positive, Councillor Egan, is that the community did support the event. And that was good to see. Yeah.
And the people that were there, visitors to our community, just absolutely were blown away by it and said how wonderful it was. There's a couple of letters of support were emailed in saying how good it was. So the feedback's all positive. The
Vintage Car Club, or whatever they're called, took up nearly the length of one side of the street. They were incredible.
Absolutely amazing support for it. So it's all positive, except I'm looking for those young people to come along and support us.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that, and that's not anything we can do anything about, but the festival itself was just an amazing.
And 11 of them, sorry to butt in, but I think Jenny said 11 of them have already inquired about a booking for next year and the next 2 festivals. So,
So the feedback's great.
It was a good day with a big fog. Yeah.
Enormous fog.
Have you done now? Is that your report?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to comment. on the trip to Alga conference.
Interstate.
Yeah, interstate.
Yes.
It was probably one of the better conferences of that type that I've been to, in that we went to the regional forums on the Sunday. Never been to that before, and it was just all about regional New South Wales, and it was very, very good. So it was probably one of the best conferences that I've been to. I think they got through all the motions in one day, which I've never seen before, but because of stopping people from standing up and yapping uncontrollably, I think that had a lot to do with it. But thank you for the opportunity to attend. I think it was worth it this year.
Councillor Young?
Just an update on the art gallery, I guess. We were open over the Orange Festival and we had 155 visitors. Out of the 40 paintings and sculptures that are in there, we've sold 14. So the artist is very happy and hopefully it'll go on. I'm not sure how we'll keep it going, but you know, it's certainly popular. We've had over 270, I think, all up visitors to that exhibit, but on Saturday there was 155. And a lot of men came in and said, I've always wanted to come and have a look at this building.
Yeah.
And I haven't visited it before, they said.
Yes.
Haven't been sitting in the seats, but I just always wanted to come
This
in
is
and
the
have a look
outdoor,
at it.
yes.
Yeah, and they complimented everybody on the way that it looks, so well done.
Very good.
Yeah.
Just for your information, at the conference we had quite a long conversation with Emma Bradbury from the MDA. Very interesting lady.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, and very much on side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was obvious benefit of networking interstate. Councillor Govan?
Only a couple of things. First, thanks for allowing me to go to Canberra. It was an interesting time to be in Canberra. It was an experience, changes and a good experience. So thank you for that. And just going on what from Catherine said, yeah, the Orange Festival was brilliant. I think Casey and Jenny Mead and other staff need really commending on the work that they did. It brought a lot of, I've only heard positive comments. Back in the shop, in our shop on Monday, there was a couple and they came to the movie that we had here on the Friday night and then to the Orange Festival, and they were staying at the Caravan Park just visiting, and they said to us that they'd never been to a more friendly place. They've extended their stay and they've gone down to the river and they've now booked in a family event for next year because of the town being so friendly. Yeah, and I think there's lots of positive things happening in the whole of the Shire at the moment. We had positive community meetings, which people seemed happy, and yeah, I think everything's going well at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Galvin, and I'll go around to Councillor Dick.
Just a couple of things, Mr Mayor. Just like to say to Francis that I too went to the art place at the courthouse, and it's excellent. Brings me to Max, the Soilcom building in Warialda. Is there any update on what we're doing there?
There's a report it's mentioned in our report.
I'm meeting tomorrow actually with the community college up at Warialda. They're going to be helping us man that facility and run a lot of their courses out of that facility for a focus on youth. So it's progressing well. The restoration work that was required is currently being undertaken, or maybe even finished, I'm not sure, but it's it'll soon be open to the public.
Very good. Well, I've got you, Max. I spoke to Adam Marshall's office the other day, and as we know, Adam's very ill at the moment. I wondered whether it would be diplomatic if the council sent him an email or some get well card or something of that manner.
I've personally have already sent him a get well email.
I've had a lot of correspondence with him, Councillor Dick. I sent him photos from the orange picking, but I've also been talking to him on other levels.
And he's put on Facebook from his from his bed.
I must say he didn't look very well when I saw him.
No, it's hit him, yeah.
Yeah. Max, can I have an update on the puppy farm, please? Have we had any inspections, or how is the DA going with their new construction?
I'd have to prepare a report because it's in the hands of the solicitors at the moment, Councillor Dick.
Could we do that, please?
Yeah, I'll certainly. That's not a problem.
And Max, while I've also got you, have we had any word back from the RMS about the painting of the Bingra Bridge?
No. We haven't.
You won't.
You haven't given me much hope, Mr. General Manager. That's
We even suggested that they could, use any spare paint they might have left over from other jobs.
Well, I say again, they painted a lot of the Gravesend Bridge with canvas underneath. I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't be painted.
That was because of an incident where top was ripped out. On another note, there was talk of dismantling the rail bridge over the Guada River at Gravesend. And interestingly enough, the people that have been commissioned to do it were going to have a conference on Facebook or something, whatever, Zoom meeting, I suppose. Offered one, and nobody from Gravesend signed up to that meeting. Alex and I have met with the company that have been, paid to look at the job, I suppose, and expressed our concern. And I think that what will happen, for the record, is that the approaches to the rail bridge will be dismantled, because on the northern side it's been very badly damaged by fire, and I think it's a hazard, and it wouldn't be any point in renewing it. But we requested the bridge remain, and I happened to say to Alex, you wouldn't know in the future that it could be used as a traffic bridge one way and the other one the other, even though it's off the route a bit. But silly to pull it down. It's a really well built bridge. And, anyway, Councillor Moore.
No, not really, nothing. All I was going to bring up was about the community college, that was all.
Okay, thank you.
That's already been covered, so that's fine.
Right, Councillor Smith, you got it?
Yeah, no, that's it, thank you.
No, I've got nothing sensible to say, no.
Best to stick to that.
Can I just have a
yes,
go back? I just want to say that I put in a customer request form for 2 women to have dead trees, and there were a number of them. The staff acted the same day, and that job was well done, and they've rung back to say thank you very much. So if that could just go out to the staff.
I think that we had some good feedback about that at our community meetings, that was really well executed if you had a customer request, and it is a good system and it is monitored. But
maybe Mr. Cush might learn how to use it.
Yeah, well, it's always there, it's open, and you will get a response. But the other thing, I'd just like to comment on the conference too, and I thought that it was good to see a team from Guada go, and I think you would all appreciate the benefit of networking. And the more you go to, the more you get out there, the more people you get to know in other councils, and you do learn a lot. And it was an excellent few days away, and I thank Leah as well for your hospitality and friendliness, Leah, or mateship, I suppose. But it's a good way to go away, and it does form a bond between the people that go. And unfortunately, Councillor Dixon's not here today, but I'm sure she enjoyed it, and I'm sure we all got a lot out of it.
She's obviously recovering.
Yeah, and I agree with Councillor David Colton's comment about the Sunday session was very, very good. And I thought that the whole conference was a bit more related to the regions rather than the cities this time. The COVID has certainly changed the format in that if you wish to speak to an item, you had to be down on the floor, seated, and wait for a microphone, which was cleaned after every speaker, and there was no wordsmithing this year, so that there was no amendments, virtually none, and that made it flow a lot better. There was motions there that I didn't agree with, but it was too damn difficult to object, so we didn't. Councillor Galvin.
Could we write something to Mark Colton to thank him for his hospitality, please?
And also his effort as
and
minister.
His effort,
and I'd like to extend it, if I could, to Michael McCormick.
Yep.
Michael McCormick is the reason we got the, and Mark, they got the $8 million for the county boundary road, or 8.8 million. And it was through the work of the roads group, as you know, that they used that data that we've collected over the years to get that through. And so it was a very good effort on their behalf. And I spoke to Michael McCormick a few weeks ago while he was still the Deputy Prime Minister. And I told him that we were very appreciative of his efforts, and we would be a letter coming from Council. We can't give it to him in the capacity of Minister for Infrastructure, but he still was there, and I concur with what you were saying. I'd like to see both of them, thank.
Yes.
And,
I'll second that.
Thank you.
For his
And I'd like
regional
to,
health.
it was good that Michael McCormick made the time to speak to us that morning, even though everything was going on. He was all more interested in speaking to us.
He went straight back to the meeting.
He went straight back, yeah.
And he did say something funny, and he said, "Oh, that's gallows humour," which I thought was very appropriate, because he was on the gallows, all right.
Can I suggest that we, if you're happy, we acknowledge the elevation of, what's his name?
Barnaby.
But we also express our disappointment that local government has been diminished.
Yes.
Its,
I don't know if did you realise that? This local government is no longer under the auspices of a minister.
Yeah.
So
What I was going to bring up as well, is there an avenue for councils as a collective councils in Australia to put things out there? And what I was thinking, the bitterness and all the problems we're going through at the moment with COVID, the bitterness between state governments and the federal government, when we should be all working together. And you look at, our council here is all made up of different people, yet we're working together and get things done. And I would say there's hundreds of councils like ours that can't. Whether as a council or as a collective of councils, we should be putting something out there to say, look, for Christ's sake, people, the state premiers and the Prime Minister and the opposition and the media, for Christ's sake, we're all in this together. Let's work together. That's the biggest drawback on it. All the rubbish that goes on about all the vaccines and things, a lot of it's just, a lot of it's political, a lot of it's media driven. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of it. I don't.
You could write to Linda Scott, who's the chairman of ALGO. She is a political animal herself, but she's proved to be pretty fair, hasn't she, Max? She's very popular.
Moving to try and get ALGO, which is the Australian Local Government Association, onto that, what's that conference they have of all the premiers and the
National Cabinet.
National Cabinet. Apparently we used to have a voice there, but we don't anymore. But
I think it was just coming from, if there was 150 councils all collectively made just a statement, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I agree, and I think most councils.
I know nothing had happened. I
think most councils would agree with you, but you do understand that there's a lot of politics, a lot of party politics in every other damn council.
Yeah, that's probably why it didn't work.
You see that at conference, and the big influence from the Greens at conference. Yeah.
All right, forget that one.
No, it could be.
No,
we could write to Linda Scott.
Do you remember they used to have those old chain letters, or like? If we start, it's very easy to send material to every council in Australia.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
And if you make it non-political, it's like, if you take I listen to Radio National every morning. Sometimes I beat my head against the wall, getting so annoyed listening to it. But I've noticed a couple of months ago they were on about, we've got to let these Indians back into Australia that are Australians. We've got to let them back in. Now, why are we letting all these people come back with, and you just think, well, political. I mean, the big problem is we haven't had the mass deaths that they've had overseas, so our media can just pander around the edges and do these ridiculous things and cause, like the death rate if you have the AstraZeneca vaccine is minute, really. Well, I think it's 1 in 100,000 or something. I mean,
it's less than that.
Yet, as we've been pointed out, if you are vaccinated, then you are you're pretty safe from the disease. So I mean, you act as if you've got a 50-50 chance of dying if they take the bloody vaccine the way that it goes on in the...
More women
crazy.
get blood clots taking contraceptive pill than they do.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see that.
So, I'm happy to explore that, Jeff.
Yeah, like, I just, like, if there's a collective, like where everyone gets this, and you said, look, and said what we want, but if there's enough people get on board, we'll put a collective announcement to, you know, I don't know how you would put it.
You can send it around an email quite easily to everybody.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Those are 457 councils, isn't there, in Australia?
How many?
457, I think.
I thought it was 500 and something.
I think we need to include the media. They're,
The media,
the biggest.
the media,
They're the
definitely.
biggest down.
Yeah, but it's a bit like Jeff said, leave the politics out of this. And
Yeah, it's not a political thing. It's us saying as councils who are made up of all different. Couldn't have a clue who. And I don't care who.
Yeah.
Because our strength is in cooperation, not division.
Yeah.
And you know, we should be encouraging all councils to come on board to say we've got to, you know, acknowledge that we should be working together, not separately.
I think it's worth a try anyway.
I don't think we need a resolution on this. It seems to be consensus, and Max will do that.
No, I think.
But you feel so useless out here. You think of all these things. You think, well, geez, I'd like to go down to Parliament and get up there and say, if I say you and you, well, just wake up to yourselves. You know?
I can remember one of our former engineers, I can't remember his first name, but Kerr.
Alan.
Alan, yeah.
Alan, yeah.
When we were, you know, basically bitching about road funding and that, and he said, well, why don't we do something about it? I mean, and that's really what started the Rural Roads Group.
Yeah. Oh, no, we were going long before Alan Kerr.
No, he
John
was
Zennis was before that.
Yeah, but he was before me. Anyway, the other thing that I need to mention about the conference is that we did meet up with Willoughby on more than one occasion, but they took us out to dinner one night, and once again, the networking is terrific, and we've got a very, very good relationship with that council. And with that, I think we might break for morning tea.
Yep.
Being... Okay, we resume after morning tea, and we've completed councillor reports. There is a late item that we neglected to add to the agenda, and I'm asking permission of the meeting that we do add this next item, which will be dealt with in confidential session. Could I have a mover that we accept this that's in front of you, which pen and paper? Councillor Young, Councillor Galvin moved and seconded that we accept it on the agenda. Put the motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. Okay, now we will move, I need a motion to move into a confidential session, please. Councillor Galvin and seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put that motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. Thanks, Ruby. If
The recommendations from the confidential section of the council meeting. First one is the Organisation and Community Services Confidential May report. The resolution or recommendation to the council is that the Organisation and Community Services Confidential May report be received. And the second item, the bad debt to be written off. The recommendation from the committee is that council write off $99,877.17 debt from Ceres Ag as the company is no longer operating.
so I need a mover to adopt that recommendation. Councillor Galvin and a seconder, be Councillor Young. I'll put the motion to the meeting. Those in favour say aye. Against, no, carried. And with that, I'll declare the meeting closed at 11:25. And thank you very much for your attendance. We'll meet back here on the 8th for a committee meeting back in this room.